All of you diehard football fans out there love the game for what it is. Your admiration of this display of peak athleticism, strategy, and grit is pure and true, not leaving out any aspect of this complex and intriguing sport. But what we might all admire the absolute most about our beloved football is when sportsmanship is put on full display. So in today's video, we're going to see some of the greatest moments of respect in all of football. Hijab. In 2018, in a Jordan Football Association Women's League game, one player on the field was wearing a hijab. For those of you who don't know, this is a hair covering worn by many of the more conservative Muslim women in the world. While it's quite likely that many of the women on the field are also Muslim, this particular player is the only one we can see who wears a hijab, signifying that she is much more conservative than the others on the field. When her head covering is brushed by another player and begins to come undone, the woman is obviously distressed about revealing her hair, which would be a sign of great immodesty. What happens next will pull your heartstrings. The opposing players, again, none of whom are wearing a head covering, thus expressing much disagreement in their practice of Islam, immediately set aside their religious differences and rush to form a circle around this player and shield her from the view of the crowd till she's able to get her hijab adjusted. Neither a difference in theology nor jersey will prevent these players from offering a helping hand to a fellow footballer. First aid. Togolese Francis Cohn jumped into swift action to assist an opposing player who had just collided with another player and laid unconscious on the field. Cohn acted instantly upon seeing the motionless condition of his opponent and reached into his mouth to be sure his airway was clear. Cohn rolled his opponent onto his side to allow any fluids to drain from his mouth and maintain open airways until medical personnel could reach him. Togolese Cohn is certainly a hero for stepping in to assist the man who, just seconds earlier, was his sworn enemy. Messi. Fans running onto the field to play is no laughing matter. Players and officials have no idea as to their intentions, and the possibility that they may wish to do harm should not be taken lightly. However, most of the time it's just an overexcited fan who cannot contain themselves. While many players are not fond of this, Lionel Messi always hugs back when exuberant fans show him love that is a little too over the top. Many times you'll be seen signing an autograph, giving away his shirt, or even just embracing a fan before they're ushered out by stadium security. While his mentality toward these fans is potentially a personal risk, it appears that Lionel appreciates the fans so much that he's willing to risk putting himself in harm's way to show them some love. Now it's time to show us some love. Hit that like button. Jersey exchange. You've likely seen the ritual performed several times. After a hard-fought battle between two football clubs, a couple of players, usually the star of each team, will trade jerseys with each other. This has become known as a long-standing sign of respect. But why? Well, nearly a century ago, England and France faced off in what was, until that day, England's game. Though the two nations had been engaged in back-and-forth non-stop war as far back as they can remember, England had always dominated on the pitch. But on this particular day in 1931, France pulled off an underdog victory, leaving the French players in such a state of ecstasy that they asked the English players for their jerseys. Who knows what the French football players had in their mind when they initiated this exchange? Maybe it was an attempt at simply documenting their historic first victory over England, or perhaps they thought requesting the jerseys might show their respect toward their opponents by expressing value in owning their attire. Whatever the reason, the English agreed to the exchange, thus solidifying this long-time football tradition. It took until 1954 for this sign of mutual respect between opposing players to work its way into the World Cup. Football's global governing body, FIFA, has not been shy about discouraging the practice of jersey exchanging. They often instructed players who are intent on doing this to make it happen either in stadium tunnels or off-site. Their intentions might be noble, maybe they just don't like the optics of players stripping down in front of thousands of fans. However, the players have been clear in their intentions not to hide this show of respect, and in all these years, FIFA has apparently yet to issue a fine for doing so. One of the most inspiring examples of jersey trading came in the 1998 World Cup match between the United States and Iran. In a, no doubt, politically charged event which was heavily guarded by police, the two teams went at it. There were concerns about fans who were unfurling political posters and threatening to rush the field, and the obvious tension between the two nations made this match exponentially more heated than the typical old football game. But once the clock had expired, the two teams exchanged jerseys in a mighty symbol of unity between people who, having now competed in football, realized they aren't nearly as different from each other as their political leaders might have us think. AC Milan honors Kobe. With the entire sports world reeling from the death of Kobe Bryant, the team he rooted for from age 6 paid Kobe tribute just days after his tragic passing. Kobe Bryant lived in Italy for a few years as a kid, where he became a devoted fan of AC Milan and remained so for the rest of his life. Kobe even considered pursuing football as a youngster, but found himself far more gifted at basketball. Before their game, the stadium went dark as the fans fell silent. Many wore Kobe Bryant jerseys and lifted them high into the air, offering not only respect to a sports legend, but profound sadness at the loss of one of the world's greatest athletes. Regardless of the particular game, sports fans are united in honoring greatness. Okay, now we've seen some serious respect here today. Wasn't that heartwarming? Now it's your turn to pay it forward and show someone you happen to bump into in the near future a sign of mutual understanding and love. Now, one way you could show some respect is by giving this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And if you'd like to see more from this channel, go ahead and subscribe as well. Now, until we meet again, RESPECT.